Welcome back to Reading Philosophy, and today I'll be reading Friedrich Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil. I'll be reading the preface. Please like, share, and subscribe. Supposing that truth is a woman, what then? Is there no ground for suspecting that all philosophers, insofar as they have been dogmatists, have failed to understand women? That the terrible seriousness and clumsy importance with which they have usually paid their addresses to truth have been unskilled and unseemly methods for winning a woman. Certainly she has never allowed herself to be won, and at present every kind of dogma stands with sad and discouraged men. If indeed it stands at all, for there are scoffers who maintain that it has fallen, that all dogma lies on the ground, nay more, that is at its last gasp. But to speak seriously, there are good grounds for hoping that all dogmatists in philosophy, however solemn, whatever conclusion and decisive airs it has assumed, may have been only a noble pluralism and tyrannism, and probably the time is at hand when it will be once and again understood that was actually sufficient for the basis of such imposing and absolute philosophical edifice, as the dogmatists have heroed read, and perhaps some popular superstition of immemorable time, such as the soul superstition, which in the form of subject and ego superstition has not yet ceased doing mischief. Perhaps some play upon words, a deception on the part of grammar, or an audacious generalism of very restricted, very personal, very human, and all too human facts. The philosophy of the dogmatist, it is to be hoped, was only a promise, for thousands of years afterwards was astrology in still earlier times, in the service of which probably more labour, gold, actresses, and patience had been spent than on any actual science. Hero we owe it, and to its super-terrestrial pensations in Asia and Egypt, the grand style of architecture, it seems, that in order to inscribe themselves upon the heart of humanity with everlasting claims, all great things have first to wander about the earth as enormous, awe-inspiring caricatures. Dogmatic philosophy has been a caricature of this kind. For instance, the vendetta doctrine in Asia, the Plantosum in Europe. Let us not be ungrateful to it, although it must certainly be confessed that the worst, the most tiresome, and most dangerous of errors hero has been a dogmatist error, namely Plato's invention of pure spirit and the good in itself. But now, when it has been surmounted, when Europe, rid of this nightmare, can again draw breath freely and at last enjoy a healthier sleep, we, whose duty is wakefulness itself, as the heirs of all strength which the struggle against this error has fostered, it amounted to very inversions of truth, and the denial of the perspective and the fundamental conditions of life, to speak of the spirit and the good as Plato spoke on them. Indeed, one might ask a physician, how did such a mouldy attack, a meleeed attack, the finest production of antiquity, Plato, had the wicked sorcerers really corrupted him? Was Socrates, after all, a corrupter of youths, and deserves his hemlock? But the struggle against Plato, or to speak plainer, and for the people, the struggle against the ecclesiastical oppression of millenniums of Christianity, for Christianity is a Platoism for the people, produced in Europe a magnificent tension of soul, such as had not existed anywhere previously. With such a tediously strained bow, one can aim at the furthest goal as a matter of fact. The European feels his tensions as a state of distress. The twice attempts have been made in grand style to unbend the bow, once by means of Jesuitism, and the second time by means of democratic enlightenment. which, with the aid of liberty of press and newspaper reading, might in fact bring it about that the spirit would not easily find itself in distress. The Germans invented gunpowder, all credit to them, but they might made things square. They invented printing. But we, who are neither Jesuits nor Democrats, nor even sufficiently Germans, we, good Europeans, and free, very free, spirits, we have it still, all the distress of spirits and all the tensions of its bow, and perhaps also the narrow, the duty, and who knows, the goal to aim at. Salis Maria Upper Endgame, June 1885.